Hey friends, what y'all working on? So I've been out for a week. Welcome to FlowTricks, it's Ken. I was in Washington, D.C. and ended up doing 4 shows last week. I've got 2 big shows this week too. It's just been a busy day. Life of a performer, man. So I wanted to answer a question that was asked on my FlowTricks Pro group, and also just wanted to create a public video so everyone can see it one more time. And don't forget that I have this. We're up to four people right now, which is pretty small, but that means you get a lot of questions answered. So basically, FlowTricks Pro is where I answer your questions within up to 24 hours when you ask. If I'm not around my computer, I will type it up, and if I am, then I will make a video response, but I'll make sure that you get the training that you need. So FlowTricks Pro is kind of the thing that I want to use to bridge the gap between just watching videos and actually getting good feedback from an instructor that, does it full time. So with that said, let's go ahead and I wanted to answer a quick question. Now, I don't have my other camera on right now, so you're gonna have to see me disappear for a second. Today I just wanted to answer a question that was asked by Mr. Martinez. His question was, what's a good tip for getting over nerves when you do it in front of people? And I thought this was just good, and I want to address this to everyone because stage fright is a real thing. And I know everyone that has done it, there's very, very, very few people that don't get it. Now I will say for myself, I don't get stage fright that often anymore, but it's something that is conditioned out, I feel. What stage fright often is it's you second guessing yourself. Oftentimes, especially when you're a new performer, you're in your head a lot. So I'm going to give you a couple tips on how to get out of your head. The first tip that I can give you, a lot of times people say, just go with it and have fun. And that's absolutely true. But it's kind of like you are your own authority. So like if a cop came up to you and you were doing something mischievous and he was like, hey, go have fun, you're still going to be very careful because you feel like you're being watched. Well, you're doing that to yourself when you give yourself stage fright often. Now, this doesn't count all kinds of stage fright, but this does count many kinds of stage fright. What I'm trying to say is you're thinking about what the audience is receiving, how they're feeling about it, to the point where you're letting them become the authority over you. But since you're the performer, this causes everything to kind of cave in. Because as a performer, like myself, if I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, what are you guys thinking about right now as I'm telling you this? And if I start getting in my head about that, I won't be able to think or to be able to focus as to what I need to say next. So your goal as the performer is to focus on your job. You've got one job, man. So my recommendation is this. When you're a new performer, the number one thing that I would absolutely say if you're going to get in front of people and you start feeling nerves is to just block everyone out. And I know this is contradictory to what a lot of people say, because you want to welcome them in, right? But when you are performing, you have to look at it like it's a brand new skill. You don't train your skills to become a performer because that's the highlight of your skills. It's actually you train yourself to get to the performer, and now you're in a brand new territory and you are a newbie all over again. You're a beginner, you're starting all over, not necessarily in what you can do with your skills, but how you present it, how you connect to the audience, etc., etc. So the first rule I want to give you is to block everyone out. If you could imagine your thoughts are escaping and they're going out to every time you see a crowd, maybe someone frowns, maybe someone's like psh and walks away, or maybe you're focused on this, you cannot focus on what you're doing. So if you create a mental wall, it's just like when you're training at home. When you're sitting at home, you don't even think about it. You don't have those thoughts. But when you're out with other people, you can feel their energy blasting you. You can feel them watching you, and you can feel that anticipation. And the moment you start questioning that, you're in trouble. You're going to stammer, you're going to get sweaty, right? So I'm not saying you're always going to do this, but when you first start, if you create a mental barrier, almost like I'm alone again, I'm back in my room, you're still going to be sweaty, you're still going to be shaky because you've got to get used to this new energy that's blasting you. But if you can keep this wall open, then your thoughts aren't going to escape and wander and prod into these people that are watching you, and that's really important. So in the beginning, create a wall and just don't even focus on the crowd, just do your thing. Now you got to expect that this is not going to be your best performance. Obviously, the first time you picked up Chucks, it wasn't your best spin, right? It was fantastic. It's a brand new experience, so enjoy it. Welcome that experience, but also don't have too high of expectations. You may be a great spinner, and not that good of a performer, because they're two totally different things. And we could go over that too, but that's a totally different thing. We're just going to go into just stage fright in itself. So once you block out everyone, you're able to at least focus and imagine that you're back in your room, because at least there you can unleash the love or the passion that you have for your chucks or whatever prop you're spinning. And I feel that's very important. Now in time, you will be able to lift this veil, and that is when you actually start to connect with your audience. Don't lift it at first though. Get used to what you're doing. This is a training session. Your performances are a training session. It's not the end, it's the beginning. But slowly lift the veil. Slowly let their energy in. Start to acknowledge them a little bit more. Make a little more eye contact. Really start to feel it. Be okay if someone does not like you. Because even on my YouTube channel, I always get haters, I get people that love it and I get people that hate it, but what am I focusing on? Well, I'm focusing on my mission. I'm focusing on my goal, because if I start focusing on the haters, boom, I'm out of commission again. I lose again. So my whole goal is, okay, here's my passion, here's my dream, I'm gonna share it, and then I'm gonna carry you with me. I'm not checking in with other people to make sure it's okay, because as long as it's not hurting anyone, and as long as it doesn't violate any values, just go for it. Just go forward and keep moving forward. And let me tell you something, right now I've got a camera facing at me. I have no idea what you're thinking or what you're saying, but it's kind of in the same concept. So if you also want to get used to performing, one thing you can do prior is to record yourself a lot. Just record yourself and say that I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel. I'm going to post this on my Facebook. Even if it's good or if it's bad, I'm going to share it. This is a little less stressful than when people are there, but it's still a step in the right direction. So say you get out there and you've done a couple of performances and you're feeling a little bit like you want to go more than just block people out. A couple things you can do. One thing that you can definitely do with regards to stage fright is, when I say slowly unveil it, I just mean let the awareness of what's happening around you come in more. And as you become a good performer, you'll actually be able to feel the audience and let their energy kind of guide you as well. This takes a little bit of time. For instance, the ability to make the crowd clap can also feed your energy, right? Or to make them roar, to scream. But if they aren't, you still aren't going to let that damage you. So if they're completely silent, because sometimes they are, sometimes your crowd is completely silent, but they love what they're seeing, but they just don't have a spot to clap, or no one else is clapping, so they're doing it internally, right? That goes with performance tips, and that's a whole nother ballpark, but I think that's kind of important to know. Another thing to really consider is before you perform is probably the worst. It's kind of like when you have a dentist appointment, right? When you're driving to the dentist appointment, or if you're going to the doctors, when you're driving there, it's probably a lot more scary than when you're actually there and they're doing their things. Maybe a little annoying when you're actually there, or maybe something else. But usually most of the fear is in the anticipation of it. So in the anticipation of your performance. And so again, this is something you got to get used to. If you're brand new at it, you just got to do it. Nerves and everything. Okay, the more you think about it, the more you anticipate it, the harder it's going to be. So before in the old days when I used to perform, I can tell you one thing that I would do is I would connect mentally with something. So I'm a fierce spinner. I like to spin very fast. So before a show, and this happened for years, what I would do is I would imagine myself as this wild animal. And what I was trying to do is I was trying to envision my kind of energy that I wanted to convey, right? I wasn't looking to be angry, but I was looking to be kind of like this primal force of movement. So in my mind, I was thinking wolf. So 5 minutes before my show, what I would do is I would just imagine myself as a wolf racing through the forest, hunting like prey, not necessarily out of anger so what it is it's just like this primal instinct. And the more nervous I got, the more I heard the crowd and the more I felt their energy. In the old days, what I would do is I would just focus even harder on this primal creature. And then as I walked out, I would keep that in my mind, and then I'd open my eyes, and then I would try to lock that in the whole time. And you would be surprised what a little mental preparation prior, because if I didn't have that, then I'd be thinking about the crowd, then I'd be thinking about my choreography, then I'd be thinking about this or that, and I wouldn't be in my elements. I would be in my head, and it would detract from it. So that's the long-winded answer about tips for stage fright. If you have any questions, let me know. And again, for the rest of this month, I'm doing Flowtricks Pro. I'm just extending it to the end of the month. I'm doing Flowtricks Pro at a discounted rate. So check it out. It's on patreon.com/Flowtricks. Would love to have you in. Would love to have a little community of people that I can just like keep training and, like I said, respond within 24 hours. And again, if you have any more questions, give me a holler regardless, and I will talk to you all soon. You didn't see that. Where's the button, man?